Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video. Welcome if you are new. It's my favourite time of the month. Don't know what that was. It's time to pick my monthly TBR. You would be correct in thinking, I've discovered my chair spins. You would be correct in thinking it's not summer because I'm wearing a jumper. Because it's now cold in England and it's late July, so... But I'm picking my August TBR regardless. We are gonna wish for the weather to recover. When I edit this, it's gonna be really annoying, I keep moving. Let me stay still. But yeah, we're gonna go and pick my August TBR. I'm very, very excited. These are my favorite videos to film. My July TBR, I am currently reading Book Lovers, which was on there, and I've still got to read King of Scars, but there's still like a week to go, so I will be absolutely fine. But I'll put up a little screen here of my little progress because I will update this just before I upload it. I've had some good reads this month and some not so good reads, but I'm excited to pick another monthly TBR. I've managed to complete them every single month. I just find it's getting me to read books that I probably would never get round to, and if it wasn't for the monthly TBR, I'd probably just read fantasy series back to back to back to back. So it's forcing me to read some other things on my list. So let me grab the TBR jar. She's getting quite sad looking with the number of prompts, but I think this is the last month I will use the prompts that are currently in the jar, and then next month I will do a big old top up because there are still at least 8 prompts in here and I pick 8 books, so I might as well make sure I use as many of the prompts I put in as physically possible. So, shall we go? An interconnected series. Oh, I know I could choose. It's not very August appropriate. In fact, it's probably more fitting for October. But, you know, I'm wearing a jumper, so anything goes. I've wanted to read this series for so long. This is a series of interconnected fantasies. Cool, right? So this follows Ophelia. Her sister disappears, and in order to save her, she has to enter a deadly competition, because if you win the competition, you win a wish. So she enters this competition. While she's in there, she meets a mysterious stranger who offers her a bargain, and I imagine it's the charming, arrogant and infuriatingly attractive Blackwell who can claim he can guide her through the legal trials ahead. Ophelia knows she shouldn't trust Blackwell. Worse still, she feels a dark and irresistible attraction, drawing them closer and closer. And then I think the second one follows the sister. I don't know what the second one follows, but I know it's like a whole different collection of characters, but like 1 or 2 are the same. The literal definition of interconnected. But I am so excited to read this book. This has been on my list for a long time. It's also on my 25 to read in 2025, so I'll also be getting off an extra little goal on my list. But yeah, Phantasma is the first book on this month's TBR. A book made into a film or a TV show. I think there's really only one option. Like, there's a few books in here which have been picked up as TV shows, but haven't yet, or films, but haven't yet been released. So if we're gonna go for one that's like, actually, it's been picked up, it's been released, it's mega popular, and we're gonna go down the film angle. So, here's the thing. I read Hunger Games as a teenager, but I don't think I read the rest of the series. I actually don't know. I've definitely watched the films, but I haven't watched the 2 newer ones. Like, I haven't watched the 2 prequels. I've only watched the original trilogy /4 films. But I picked up these editions in our local bookshop and they are stunning. Isn't this book like the prettiest book you've ever seen? So pretty. And I bought the first 4 in these like special editions. They are the floppiest thing you have ever seen, and I am such a fan of a floppy book. Who doesn't know about these films? I think you have to have been living under a rock to not know about these films. And I can't, like, I remember obviously the plot because it's the film, but I don't remember the plot by like reading it. So I'm very excited to kind of relive this series as an adult. And yeah, it's a little special edition print. I can't really think of anything else on my list that fits for this prompt, and I'm very excited to read these books. So this is book number 2. Shortest book on your TBR. Interesting. So I'm going to go on Goodreads because I track all of what I've read and what I'm going to read on Goodreads. I'm going to go on my want to read list, which is basically everything that's on my physical TBR. I'm going to go on, let me just record my screen. That'd be far more interesting for you. Let me scoot over here. So I'm currently on want to read. It's organised for some reason by publication year. So I'm going to make it by number of pages. Interesting. So my shortest book, well, there is the page numbers actually on here. So that one probably won't be my shortest book. Therefore, I'm going to take my shortest book as Toward Eternity by Anton. Where have I put that book? This is the next book. It is very, very short. It is 200 and... God, the text is tiny. It's 244 pages. Don't really hear many people talk about this book. I saw one person give it an absolute rave review. I couldn't tell you who, and because of that review, I pre-ordered it. And now I don't remember who reviewed it or what the book was really about, but it appeared on my doorstep, and now here we are. But this is what it says on the back. In the near future, a new therapy promises to eradicate cancer by entirely replacing the body's cells with nanotees. Android cells that not only cure those afflicted, but also render patients virtually immortal. When literary researcher Huang, himself a recipient of nanotherapy, teaches an AI named Planet how to understand poetry, he creates a living, thinking machine. And when Huang mysteriously vanishes into thin air and then just suddenly reappears, the event raises disturbing questions. What happened to Huang? And though he's returned, is he really himself anymore? This feels like a Black Mirror episode, which I'm currently watching on Netflix. This feels like an episode of Black Mirror, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be ready to read it, but you know, it's only 250 pages, so if it's absolutely terrifying, it's not terrifying for very long. The text is tiny. Like, she has some tiny, tiny text, but I'm very excited. I don't really know many people talk about this. I feel like sci-fi is not usually the most popular genre, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm interested. I think it's going to be fun. I'm hoping it's going to be a similar vibe to like a Blake Crouch book, which I love that author's writing. So yeah, I'm excited to read this. This is book number 3. I feel like I'm picking books very slowly today. That's fine. A book with over 100,000 reviews on Goodreads. And I'm gonna scoot over here. So, we are back on my TBR shelf. Instead of number of pages, I'm gonna go for number of ratings. The most rated book is actually The Hunger Games, which I've already chosen. The second most rated book is Twilight from the Twilight saga. So we are pretending to be teenagers from 2008. The fact that this and Hunger Games is on this TBR is just hilarious. Now, I definitely read this as a teenager. I read it before the films were even announced because I was really into vampires when I was like 12 or 13 or however old it was when this book was released. When was this book released? 2006. So I would have been 11. I was really into vampires at that age. Like, I was obsessed. Like, I read this. I read the House of Night series, which I reread recently. Like, there was a book called Immortal or something. Like, there were so many books at that point written about vampires, and I was obsessed with all of them. So I read this series such a long time ago, and I definitely read the books before watching the films. And I was in a charity shop recently, and they were all there, as they are in most charity shops. So I picked them up. I didn't think I would be rereading this and Hunger Games in the same month, but there you go. The TBR jar has spoken. August is the month we're rereading Twilight, which I just find hilarious as a concept. I mean, I haven't given the plot of Hunger Games and I haven't given the plot of Twilight because I'm assuming everyone knows, but I just think this is going to be a lot of fun. I always remember Host. Who remembers Host? Book number 4. Absolute lols. Book number 5. A cover that you hate. I dislike this prompt. I don't know why I put it in there. It makes me feel mean when I hate covers. But there you go. Let me have a little peruse through my bookcase, see what I can find, and I will be right back. I've got a few options. I'm gonna say before I talk about them, I'm not a graphic designer. I don't pretend to be a graphic designer. I work with graphic designers every day. It is a skill that I do not possess. This is a personal opinion. If you like these covers, don't come for me. But I've picked 3 covers that for very different reasons. I wouldn't say are my favourite. Hate is a strong word. The only book covers I would hate is if there were spiders all over them, and none of my book covers have that. So, right, let's just pick. I'm gonna go in no particular order. These are the 3 book covers that I dislike. So, the first one is Really Good Actually by Monica Heisey. There's something about these eyes that give me the creeps. I also really dislike this weird trend of these like dual book covers. I can't explain it. They're becoming really popular and I just don't like them. And they bring me an unnecessary amount of frustration and I can't quite explain why. This, I actually don't really know what it's about. I picked it up from a charity shop. It seems to be about someone who's just recently divorced and now she's like rediscovering herself. I think it's like a funny fiction. But yeah, this is book choice number 1. The second one I've picked because it's just kind of boring. The cover just bores me, and it's 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. This is a book about a load of people who are on a road trip and either one of them dies or one of them is wanted dead. And I think this whole thing takes place over like 6 hours. Is this the book? Yeah, this whole book takes place over like 5 or 6 hours. So yeah, I love Holly Jackson. I've read a lot of her books. I've loved a lot of her books. And this is going to be a book I love, but the cover... And then, I can't explain to you why, but this book cover brings back memories of GCSE art. And I don't know if your GCSE, if you took them, GCSE art classes were the same, but we had to draw these like flat lays and there was always a skull and there was always some jewellery and there was always some random stuff. And the jewellery was really annoying to colour or to paint or to draw. And the skull, why was it there? Why is the skull in like every painting that I was forced to do when I was 15? And this book just gives me that vibe. So this is The Book of Asriel by Amber V. Nicole. It is the first book in the Gods and Monsters series. I feel like I'm starting a lot of series in this month, but I'm also only halfway through 4 series at the moment without the next book being out. So I can start a load. That's absolutely fine. This one, I don't necessarily dislike the cover. It just has connotations with me that slightly annoy me. So there you go. But these are the 3 books I'm gonna pick between. I feel like I've got a lot of like fantasies, so I'm not gonna choose The Book of Asriel. I also feel like my hatred of it is very linked to something very specific and not liking to paint skulls and jewellery, which I feel like is not a reason to hate something. So we're gonna pick one of the other 2. We've got 5 Survive or Really Good Actually. I think it has to be this, partly because the eyes freak me out and partly because it's this flappy thing. Why are covers got flappy things and why does the flappy thing annoy me so much? There you go. Book number 6. A book with an illustrated cover. So we're going on the cover theme. I think all of my books this month so far, oh no, Twilight doesn't. The rest of the books have illustrated covers, but it just means like drawn and not photo, which to be honest is most covers. What am I gonna pick? I think these are my 2 that are calling to me the most. They could not be more different. So, one is the last book in a fantasy trilogy, and one is a rom-com. Quite different vibes. So we've got V. Schwab, A Conjuring of Light, which is the 3rd book in, what's this series called? I should probably know. A Darker Shade of Magic. It's the 3rd book in the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy. I read the last 2 books recently. Love this series. I think book 2 was on my July TBR. I feel like I'm going to get to this book regardless this month. Or we have Problematic Summer Romance, which is the new Ali Hazelwood release, which I haven't read yet, hence why it's on my TBR. I am leaning towards this one as much as I will probably get to this book anyway, because 1, this is definitely illustrated. No one can fight me on that. It's also a book I really want to read in the summer based on the title and vibes alone, but I think this is interconnected or some kind of link to Deep End, which I haven't read yet. So I'm going to put this on the list, knowing that I also need to read Deep End. The plot is Meyer Kilgore is 23 and still in the process of figuring out her life. Connor Harkness is 38 and Meyer cannot stop thinking about him. Age gap. I think it's an age gap romance. I mean, it's an age gap, but like an appropriate one because she's 23. So like, she's an adult. Yeah, I'm gonna put this on regardless. And May will encourage me to hurry up and read Deep End. She's back. The two things I forgot about using this camera is one, the battery life is absolutely pants, and two, it overheats very quickly. So anyway, we are now back with book number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Book number 7. Oh my god, we are now in like the last few prompts. A standalone book, so not a series, which actually, to be fair, we've only got 3 series and 3 standalones, so we're not too series heavy, but regardless, we need a standalone. I have 3 options. These are all standalones, obviously, due to the prompt, but I have 1 fantasy, 1 I think fantasy, and 1 literary fiction. So a little bit of range. Here they are. They are also 2 of which are on my 25 to read in 2025 list, which I do need to make some good progress with because I am starting to lag behind. So the one that's not on the list is Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar, which is a standalone fantasy, which I think is quite fun. So have I read any of Leigh Bardugo's books yet? Yeah, I've read many. She literally publishes this entire series, of which I have read most of them. But yeah, this is one of her new releases. It's a standalone, and I bought this off the recommendation of someone in a bookshop, so I actually don't know what it's about. I don't know if I'm going to pick that one, but I thought I would just let you know if you're looking for a standalone fantasy. That is one, but I've given you nothing to go off, so you're probably not going to want it, but there it is. I've told you about it. These are the 2 I am going to pick between. These are both on my 25 to read in 2025. We have Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I've owned this book for a while. It follows Cleo, who is a 24-year-old. She's at a different party every night, and a chance encounter on New Year's Eve with a man called Frank gives her potentially the security she craves and the green card that she needs, and they basically get married, and it's chaos. Sounds quite fun, right? I feel like, do I want to read this book while we're in summer? Maybe, but this is one option. And then the other one we have is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. I don't quite know if this is fantasy, but it's definitely gothic. So Opal is an orphan, she's a high school dropout, she's a full-time cynic, and she's trying to find a better life for her and her younger brother. So she gets a job at Starling House, which is a haunted mansion. The place is full of secrets, it's dangerous, but it gives her something she's never had at home. A sinister force converges on Eden. Opal realises she might finally have found the reason to stick around, but now she's gonna have to fight for it. I feel like I want to read this later in the year, so I might go for Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I have wanted to read this for such a long time, based on the fact that it's on my 25 to read in 2025 list. It's a good, varied, and slightly random TBR this month. So the 8th book, the final book that we're gonna pick in this month's TBR, with the last prompt, and I might just like read out the last final prompt so I've at least said them all, is... It better be good. This better be a good end to the TBR. A book with a colour in the title. The only option that I can see is Blue Sisters, which is the other Coco Mellors book. I don't think I want both of them on my monthly TBR, so I think I might scrap this prompt. This is a terrible prompt. Why did I write it? BookTube recommended book. So this is a book that I would have bought because of BookTube. Most of them. But let's have a little peruse. I do sometimes pick up books randomly, like this one here, the naming song. I do just pick up sometimes books because I'm in a bookshop and they look interesting. But a lot of books I buy are because someone else has recommended them. Right, I have 4 books because, you know, it's the last prompt. We might as well go out on a high. These are books and series that I not necessarily wouldn't have bought. I just probably wouldn't have known about them if it wasn't for BookTube. I probably would still have enjoyed them. I mean, I haven't read them yet, but I probably still would have enjoyed them if I had been in a place where they were an option. But these are my little BookTube recommends. So we have Twisted Games, which is the 2nd book in the Twisted series, which is a series by Huang. It follows basically mega wealthy people get with non-mega wealthy people. It's a series of standalone romances. here we go. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I think if it wasn't for YouTube, I probably wouldn't have ever ventured into the YA section. I think YouTube, to me, has like introduced me to the fact that a lot of YA books are quite adult. So yeah, I probably never would have even found this book if it wasn't for YouTube. This is a series of books by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, which follows I think it's a girl, yeah, Avery, who basically ends up inheriting $1 billion fortune. And that's the start of the series. So I am very excited to start this one. We then have Lightlark by Alex Astor. I feel like this has done its rounds. The new book has just recently been announced, so it's doing the rounds all over again. I can't wait to read this book. I am literally so excited. So once every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of the 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and to save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. Also, she's floppy, saying it. And then the last one is The Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley. This is a series. I don't know if it's completed, but I have the 4. It's another contest. There is a contest, 10 women, a deadly contest. Only one can win the Sun King's heart. So yeah. I actually don't know which one to pick. So I'm going to do a number generator who is going to pick between these 4. So Trial of the Sun Queen is 1, then 2, 3, and then Lightlark is 4. Because you can't ask me to pick between these books. You just can't. 1 to 4, I'm going to generate it and we're going to see which book it chooses. I'm actually quite stressed. 2, Twisted Games. Okay, nice. So we're actually continuing a series, which probably feels like a good idea. The book recommended by BookTube that I'm going to pick is Twisted Games by Anna Huang, which, this is what it says on the back of the book. Stoic, broody and arrogant, elite bodyguard Reese Larson has 2 rules: protect his clients at all costs and do not become emotionally involved, ever. He has never once been tempted to break these rules until her. Bridget von Ascherberg, a princess with a hidden fire that reduces his rules to ash. Day by day, she breaks down his defences. He swore an oath to protect her, but it's not enough. She must be his princess, his forbidden fruit, his depraved fantasy. Regal, strong-willed, and bound by the chains of duty, Princess Bridget dreams of the freedom to live and love as she chooses. But when her brother abdicates, she is faced with the prospect of a loveless political marriage and a throne she never wanted. As she navigates the intricacies and treacheries of her new role, she must also hide her desire for a man she can't have. Her bodyguard, her protector, her ultimate ruin. Unexpected and forbidden, theirs is a love that could destroy a kingdom and doom them both. I do remember the first book, The Best Mate, being randomly a royal, and I was like, that's fine. So yeah, this is following the friend from the first book who is a princess, naturally, because why not? These books, at least the first one, for me was like silly, goofy, like 3-star effortless read. So we shall see. But yeah, this is the 8th book I'm gonna choose. I feel like they've got more romance books than normal in this TBR. I mean, I do feel like summer is the time to read them, so that potentially has skewed my opinion. Oh no, the TBR jar is nearly empty. To summarise at the end of the video, these are the 8 books I have picked for my August TBR. We have, as an interconnected series, we have Phantasma by Kaylie Smith. As a book made into a film or TV series, we have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. As the shortest book on my TBR, we have Toward Eternity by Anton. As a book with over 100,000 Goodreads reviews, we have Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. Although I actually come to think of it, I just picked this prompt as the most reviewed. Oh well, this is the book I chose anyway. As the cover that I dislike, because I'm not going to use the word hate, it is Really Good Actually by Monica Heisey. For a book with an animated cover, I've chosen Ali Hazelwood, Problematic Summer Romance. As a standalone book, I've chosen Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. And as a BookTube recommended book, I've chosen Anna Huang's Twisted Games, which is the 2nd book in the Twisted series. So, there we have it, my 8 books I'm going to read. I'm actually really excited to read all of them, but I have 3 prompts in here. I just want to read them. Just to say I've read them all. So the 3 that are in here are 2 of the previous prompt. That's fine. Book beginning with a letter the same as this month. And Goodreads challenge. Right, okay. I can take not having those. So yeah, those are the 8 books I have picked. If you want to see, I usually read a couple of them in reading videos. I didn't do it so much in July because I lost my camera. But, well, it got stolen. But yeah, if you really want to see me read a couple of these over the next month, please subscribe as I film reading vlogs. And yeah, those are my 8 books. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Click subscribe because I film one of these every single month. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!